Penicillin is one of the most important medical discoveries in history. It's a drug that revolutionized the treatment of bacterial infections and saved countless lives. But did you know that the discovery of penicillin was actually a series of accidents and observations over many years? In this video, we'll explore the fascinating story behind the discovery of penicillin and how it changed the course of medicine forever. Before the discovery of penicillin, bacterial infections were a leading cause of death worldwide. Diseases like pneumonia, tuberculosis, and sepsis often resulted in death, even from minor injuries. Medical treatments for infections were very limited, and there were no antibiotics to fight the bacteria causing these diseases. Surgery was risky, and even a small cut or infection could be fatal. The discovery of penicillin happened largely by accident, and the key figure behind it was a Scottish bacteriologist named Sir Alexander Fleming. In 1928, Fleming was working at St. Mary's Hospital in London, researching ways to fight bacterial infections. He was studying Staphylococcus, a type of bacteria that can cause infections in humans. One day he was working in his lab, going through some petri dishes where he had been growing cultures of bacteria. By coincidence, one of the dishes had been left uncovered and became contaminated with mold. When Fleming examined the dish, he noticed something strange. Where the mold grew, the bacteria had been destroyed. But the bacteria in the rest of the dish were unaffected. Fleming was intrigued by this observation. The mold seemed to be producing something that killed the bacteria. The mold was later identified as a strain of Penicillium notatum. Fleming was no stranger to the potential of natural substances to fight infections. He had previously experimented with substances like garlic, but it was this mold that sparked his greatest breakthrough. Fleming started experimenting with the mold, isolating the substance it produced. He eventually identified it as a powerful antibiotic, which he named penicillin after the mold, Penicillium. In 1929 he published his findings in the scientific journal The Lancet. However, despite the promising results, his discovery didn't immediately lead to widespread medical use. Penicillin at the time was difficult to produce in large quantities, and researchers didn't initially know how to harness its full potential. Fleming's discovery sat relatively unnoticed for nearly a decade. There was skepticism from some medical professionals about the drug's potential, and producing it in large amounts proved difficult. This is where a new group of researchers came in. In the late 1930s and early 1940s, as the world was on the brink of World War II, the demand for effective antibiotics became more urgent. A team of scientists, including Howard Florey, Ernst Boris Chain, and Norman Heatley at the University of Oxford, picked up where Fleming left off. They worked tirelessly to find a way to produce penicillin in large quantities, a process that had proved challenging for Fleming. Florey, Chain, and Heatley developed methods to purify and mass-produce penicillin. They successfully produced penicillin in large enough amounts to test its effectiveness in treating bacterial infections. This research was supported by the war effort, which created a huge demand for antibiotics to treat soldiers injured in battle. During World War II, the need for penicillin became critical. In 1941, American pharmaceutical companies like Pfizer and Merck began working on techniques to produce penicillin on an industrial scale. This involved growing the penicillium mold in large fermentation tanks, where it could produce the antibiotic in significant quantities. In 1943, penicillin became widely available, and it was used to treat wounded soldiers, dramatically reducing deaths from bacterial infections. Penicillin's ability to cure infections quickly and effectively made it a miracle drug, and soon, it was being used to treat civilians as well. The discovery of penicillin had an immediate and lasting impact on medicine. It ushered in the age of antibiotics, which transformed the treatment of infections and surgery. Diseases that were once deadly became treatable, and people began to live longer, healthier lives. Penicillin's success also sparked a golden age of antibiotic discovery, leading to the development of other life-saving drugs, such as streptomycin, tetracycline, and erythromycin. It helped pave the way for modern medicine as we know it today. In 1945, Alexander Fleming, Howard Florey, and Ernst Chain were jointly awarded the Nobel Prize in Physiology or Medicine for the discovery of penicillin. This was a monumental recognition of the drug's life-saving potential. Fleming's original observation had led to a groundbreaking change in medical science, but it took the collaborative effort of many scientists to turn penicillin into a widely available and practical medicine. Penicillin remains one of the most commonly used antibiotics today, although bacteria have developed some resistance to it over time. This has led to the development of other antibiotics, but penicillin still plays a critical role in treating infections. The discovery of penicillin also raised awareness about the need for responsible use of antibiotics to avoid resistance, and scientists are still studying new ways to fight infections. The discovery of penicillin was a turning point in the history of medicine. What began as a simple observation by Alexander Fleming in 1928 turned into one of the most important breakthroughs in human history. Penicillin's development helped save millions of lives and marked the beginning of the antibiotic era. So, next time you hear about someone recovering from a bacterial infection, remember that it all started with a moldy petri dish in a London laboratory, an accident that changed the world. If you found this story fascinating, don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the bell for more incredible stories about scientific discoveries. Follow and subscribe for more. And let me know in the comments. What other medical breakthroughs would you like to hear about?